I'm Greg Hoff. So over the years, I have been developing database web applications. So I wanted to go over what I think are the most useful components that I develop. So without further ado, let's go into our landing page. This is something I did for UCSF. So I'm going to go to our staging site. So let me click here, our acceptance testing staging site. Here's our user login page. So I'm going to log in with my user ID and password. Click here. Again, here's our acceptance testing staging site. And the first thing I'm going to go over that I think is one of the most useful tools or components is our grid. So we have something from Telerik, a third-party vendor, a grid. So let me go into our task system here. And one of the major features is that you can export to Excel, PDF, pretty cool. Again, these are records that I bring into this grid component. And I think one of the most useful features is that users can filter on any column. They can sort on any column. For example, I can filter on, let's say, how about anything that contains, I'll just put something SQL. It's not case sensitive. Click on filter and it filters on SQL. Anything with SQL on this column. Anything that contains SQL. So I think that's pretty cool. And one of the things you can do is you can save your grid state. So what do I mean by that? I can come up here to our menu bar, click on Save Grid State. So if I move off this page, I go home, I come back to this task system, it remembers my filtered grid state, my 12 records, what I filtered on. And one of the coolest things that has been really, really, really helpful is this flyout menu. So this is something I designed. So I have a flyout menu on every single record in my grid. So, and you have nested menus here. So each menu represents a record here, which this has been very useful. I mean, it saves a lot of real estate having a menu, a flyout menu on every single record. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And as you can see here, you have, and if you go to, again, we're saving our filtered grid state. So if I go to details, let's say edit forms, and I go, well, which I wanted to go over this too, since we're here, you see attachments here. I can click or go to my Excel files or Word document. Let's go back to our task grid. So it remembers my filter grid state. So that was form view. Now we're in table view where you can see every single record. It remembers my 12 records, what I filtered on here. Very useful. You can edit on you can edit anything on every single record here and click on save to save your changes. So you can edit multiple records at a time. Or you can go to form view and record a single record. I can come here, go to edit form, and just edit things and say you got your text area here. So let's close this. Let's go back to our task grid. Anything else I wanted to cover? One of the major features that I found useful is you can have drag and drop sorting. So that's one of the things I did. So I actually have to create a stored procedure with this Telerik component and do something called cursors and create the process to sort, drag and drop sorting, which is really helpful. In this case, this is our task system. We can prioritize our tasks. I might say, hey, assessment, this is really important. Now let me move this to on top because my priority changes. It can change every day, right? So you just want to look at the most important stuff. You get up in the morning, you just want to see what tasks that you need to accomplish and what are the most important. So you might say, hey, this assessment, category is not as important. I can move it down here. So you have drag and drop sorting, which is very helpful for a lot of things. In this case, it's for prioritizing my tasks. So let's go back to my task grid. What else did I want to cover here? Um, yeah, in this case, we have something called links. If you enter something that has a link here, like you see here, it automatically puts it up here. So I can just go to the specific link and it's going to take me there, you know, things like that. There's other features here. There's something called groupings. I can, for example, I can drag this up here into this bar here and it groups everything. You can have multiple groupings. If I don't want to see this grouping here, I can just click here, X it out, and we have everything back to the way it was. Again, and one thing if you want all your records back, easy please. Remember, I'm saving my filter grid state on what I filtered on SQL. If I want everything back, just click on reset grid state and voila. So has been really helpful because, you know, you may want to, it's very common to filter on your records. You can filter multiple times. You can have nested filters. And once you save your grid state, because you might go to your file menu and move off the page or go somewhere else to do some other analysis and come back. It will remember your filter grid state. And if you want everything back, just click on reset grid state. Pretty helpful. So there's a lot of features here. I freeze the first few columns so I can scroll right and left and see everything and see these first three columns at all times. Then my file. So what else did I wanted to cover? Um, One cool thing I think, let's go back home, is notes. I noticed that users like having the ability to attach, embedded videos and stuff like that, or a word, you know, um, the having tables, word tables. And let me just show you what I mean. So let's go to some sample here. Something called a patient case bank system. Let's go into test. Let's look at test records. And I'll save my grid state here too, because I think that would be very helpful. So I'll click on save grid state. So if I move off the page and come back, I'll remember this filter grid state. So what do I mean by this editing of notes? So if I come here, this one has 5 attachments. This is the one that has some pretty cool examples. You can embed videos. There's an editor, and you can have pretty cool. So you can just click on it, for example, and stop that. You have your attachments. So the way I did it was for a lot of things in Formville, I would put attachments right to the right pane or right side so they could see the attachments right away. I think that's really helpful. You can see your stuff, everything's at your fingertips. You can look at your meat of the data or your data here, information here, and you have your attachment. You can see what it is. You can see, I can, for example, click on it and just see it here. And if you don't want to see it, you can, click off of it, remove that tab. Yeah, so there's an editor you can click on to edit, this is how the editor looks like. Pretty cool. So let's go back to the grid itself. Let's go to the grid. Well, actually, let's do notes and let's go to grid with all fields. Let's go back here. And it remembers my filter grid state. Um, let's me show you one more example. Let me reset my grid state. Let's find something with a lot of attachments. Anything here with a lot. This has fixed. So let's look at notes here. So again, you can have tables here. Pretty cool. So what this user, her name was, what was her name? Christine Pulaski. What she did was a lot of times she would go to Word, use their tables. You can use the editor here in this Telerik component, but you would use Word. If you're comfortable with Word, and just do a copy and paste over here. And you can do tables, pretty slick. I have no clue what this means, but this is like for the school pharmacy information. So yeah, pretty cool. And again, you have your attachments here as well. So let's go back home and let's go to something. Let's go to dashboards. That's a fun thing. So dashboards are really popular. Tableau is one of the most popular software used for developing your dashboards. I'll give you an example here. Let's go to our patient case bank system and let me click on Tableau Pepper accounts. So I did at least four presentations on the Tableau JavaScript API for UCSF, UCSF, and was it Northern California? I can't remember, but yeah. So I did presentations for Tableau using the JavaScript API where you can embed your sites into, embed your dashboard into your websites. Pretty cool. And with Tableau, you can do things like select items here. I can just select items here. You get my ins and outs. These are called, what's the name of this? Again, it's been a while. So you have your set actions, your ins and outs. Um, so you can, and one of the cool things is that once you select the item, notice I selected, you can see it right here too as well. You can select more items holding the control key, and or you can deselect. One thing cool about it is once you select these items, you can get those get these items and you can do whatever you want with it. You can save it to your database, filter down to other dashboards, other software, as parameters. Pretty cool. So for example, let me give you an example, post event logs. So yeah, so I filtered down on those selected items, which you see here. And you can even select these items here. You get my ins and outs, set actions, information here from data I selected, your word cloud, pretty cool. So you can do a lot of cool stuff with Tableau. And close this window. So the other software we use that I've used for creating dashboards is using Telerik. So let me show you an example of that using how about rate students scores. Pretty cool. You can see this. So you can do the same things like Tableau. Like you can select items, like here. I don't have to hold down the control key. Select another item. Notice you see it on top. I select it again. Select this guy, deselected. Notice it's totaling it. This is just an example. So you can select items here and do whatever you want. You can send to your database, pass it as parameters, drill down to other um, dashboards. Pretty cool. So, and I made it so that you can look at it at a horizontal stack bar, or you can go back to your vertical stack bar. And one of the cool features using Telerik for your dashboard, you have this grid here. So if I filter on this grid, it's going to be reflected on this graph. So that's one of the cool features. Yeah, there. So yeah, these are students, and these are dummy records that you can see here. I have Stephen Curry here. I can make it James Wiseman for the Golden State Warriors. You can do stuff like that. Back to Stephen Curry, go home. So and the other software we use or I use for dashboards is reporting services. So reporting service is basically for creating reports, complex reports, but you can use it for dashboards as well. There's an example using reporting services, Microsoft reporting services. So you can have some sub reports and create reports and just drag multiple different types of reports and just drag it into a single report here, which I did here to create this graph on these tables here. So pretty cool. So you can use reporting services for not only reports, but also your dashboards or graphs. And with this, let me just show you can export it to various, let me just bring this up again. Right here, you can export it to Word, to Excel, to PowerPoint, PDF, and print it out as well. Pretty cool. Let me move this out of the way. So that's here. Move this up. So those are dashboards. And another thing I wanted to show you was narrative videos. So this is really helpful. So what I'm doing now is a narrative video. I can click over here and notice you can have a bunch of different types of narrative videos. And what we did was I was using YouTube initially, then I decided to we use UCSS bots, right, for security reasons too, right here. But I had a lot of stuff in Tableau because I did a lot of narrative videos in Tableau. What else do we have here? So I wanted to go over not so much web development right now. It's something called SSIS, which is integrated services, SQL Server integrated services. It's an ETL, meaning that it's ways of grabbing things from other servers or other like Excel. So and then, massaging the data and putting it into our tables, our SQL Server tables. So one of the things we used it for, the majority of the time, we used SSIS for importing items from Excel because Excel is used by so many people. So they want to be able to import data into into our SQL Server tables, right? So, for example, like in our student progression system, let me just show you this. Um, Here we have dummy data here. This is awesome. These are students, but notice everyone is Stephen Curry here. We have everything in our notes. I have Peter Parker picked a pack of pickled peppers. If Peter Parker picked a pack of pickled peppers, where's the pack of pickled peppers Peter Parker picked? But that's test data. Yeah. Okay, these are cohorts. So everyone's Stephen Curry. I don't want to show you the real students here because it's sensitive data. So it's test data here. So, you have your attachment, your filing, which is really cool. But what I wanted to show you was where we use SSIS for. So why Excel? What's the purpose for importing Excel files? So a lot of times we'll have like in our student report, we have information like this or core information. We get this from Excel files and we import it into our SQL Server tables, our database. So again, Excel is really popular. Users know how to get, so our business users know how to get information and put into Excel, and they can easily, using SSIS, import it here um, to so we can get our tables. It's a relational database, and we get information like this for our student. And let me just show you something else, which is kind of cool. So we can edit. This is form view, and we can edit directly here in form view as well. So just wanted to show you this. Again, we have attachments. Remember, that's really helpful. So everything's at your fingertips. Let's close this guy here. Just wanted to show you that. And what is SSIS? So this is how it looks like. Let me just show you an example of this. Let me bring it down. I have another. Let's maximize this guy. This is SSIS. You create something called a control flow. Get your Excel. What I do is I empty this table in our SQL Server. SQL Server Management Studios, you have tables here, or in SQL Server you have tables. So you empty the tables first, and you import the latest data. That's how we did it here. This is just an example, and if you look at the task here, you can see that you're getting your sources, your Excel file, and then you are moving it, transferring that, or importing that data into our SQL Server table. So that's sort of how it looks like. Again, the first thing we do is we empty the tables first, and then we import it. And there's different ways of doing it, but this is a basic way of how we're getting the Excel file and putting it into our SQL Server tables. And you can see it in, this is SQL Server Management Studio. You can see that here we have something called integration services, something called packages here, and then we schedule it. You could schedule it on a daily basis early in the morning. Here, this is SQL Server Agent, where we can schedule things, our imports, like to make it 5 a.m. in the morning and automatically. So all the user has to do is really get the Excel file, put it into a folder. That's all they do. And then this automates the process because you have something called jobs that schedules this, this package that imports the data over to our tables. So I think that's what's very useful. So I'm pretty much done with a lot of things here. Let's end this with something fun. Um, so I did something at UCSF. We had something called, they have it every other year, something called Sharecase, where you get to show off your technology. So for school pharmacy, I was able to show off our database web technology. And what I did was I got sponsored by Telerik. I used a lot of their components, and what they did is they gave me a lot of goodies like t-shirts, really cool stuff and I created this game to show off our web development. And if you won, you got to choose from different prizes like t-shirts, which was really cool. So that was really nice of Telex to do this for us. So let me show you our game to end this. So it's called Sharecase. So in this game, we were able to show stuff where we could just select items. In this case, for select celebrities. I'll select, okay, Charles Theron. How about Tom Brady? And let's go with, how about LeBron James? So once you select your items, you can see it here. And then you can post these celebrities, trying to show off our grid components. And in our grid components, you can edit them. For example, you can sort the celebrities. So you have, remember, we have drag and drop sorting to put this on top, want to show that. Then we have our flyout menus. Um, and you can go to your, then you can go to your Feel Lucky game. And the object of this game is to match these three. It'll make sense once I show you this. So I'll start my game, roll my dice. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, they matched. So this is very rare that you'll get this. So normally, if you, let me reset this. So this one, these match. So we just got lucky that first try because normally, let me do it again. I'll start the game. They'll roll the dice. See, and so they have to match in order to win. We got lucky in that very first try. Um, but yeah, so if they did match, you remember you saw the balloons come up, you would get a prize. And people were just going for the t-shirts. The t-shirts were gone within, we had a lot of t-shirts within pretty much after 5, 6 hours, man, the t-shirts were gone and they had to go for the other prizes. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. Um, yeah, hope this makes sense. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. I'll stop share.